Okay. And let's go ahead and if everyone, even just with mics on for the moment, can go ahead and greet Dan good morning and welcome him into our space.
Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I love all the great.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Well,
Good morning.
good morning. I really am honored to be a part of your class. Cory is creating an amazing community here for all of us to feel a part of. So I really appreciate you all making the time to listen to what we have to say and thinking about ways that music and the history of music can become connected to you in this present day. I don't know how you guys live, but in my life, I need music. I can never have silence. I always need sound. I always need things and music and ideas and lyrics and melodies to help calm my mind, to inspire my soul, to allow my heart to understand where it needs to be open and where it needs to be closed. And also to give me something to strive for, something that is, I think music, honestly, is the closest thing humans have invented to perfection, to maybe not even perfection, to spirituality, to otherworldliness, something that makes us understand our time here on earth that we're sharing together, alive, makes us understand it just a little bit better. Etta James is a famous singer, and she says, "You can't live life like a song." But I disagree. I try really hard to live life like a song. That's why I love lyrics, and that's why I love music. So I'm here on Thursdays without Tammy, unfortunately, because Tammy is such a busy musician. She has like studio sessions and other students and all this craziness. So I'll be joining you on Thursday. And as we said on Monday, we'll be here for 9 weeks, 8 weeks beyond this one, right all the way up to the holiday break when we go on winter break. And our goal together is to write, is to listen to music, listen to songs, listen to history, and make connections between ourselves and that history. And then to put those connections as best as we can on paper. And the idea is that at the end of our time together, that last week, you'll have an opportunity to share with the group your ideas, your poems, your songs, whatever we end up writing. And we're going to do, like today, we're going to work on poetry a little bit. We're going to talk about poetry. We're going to look at poetry. I'm going to talk about some ideas that are in poetry, and I will perform a little bit. And then you guys are going to write. You're all going to write some stuff. And I just want to remind you that you're perfect. Who you are, the way you write, how you see the world is perfect. So don't allow that to get in your way. Sometimes we don't understand what's going on. That's okay to ask questions. But just know that your point of view is needed and wanted, and we have to hear it. People older than me have messed up this land so much. And we need the youth. We need your voices in the world to help us understand where we're headed. So something that I really need to do every day is I like to breathe. I like to do meditation. I like to
I
have a
like to cut
mindful
deep.
minute. So when I say the words mindful minute, does anybody know what that means? Has anybody done a mindful minute before? You can either raise your hand in the reactions or you can throw it into the chat. Oh yeah, the crew. So jealous of not. I'm not in your crew. I want to be in your crew, Cory. um, so I want everyone to do for the next few minutes is we're just gonna breathe together. You're gonna put your feet flat on the floor. You're gonna either close your eyes if you feel comfortable closing your eyes, or you're just gonna gently look down so that you're not distracted. This is for you. This is for your time. This is a sacred space for you to connect to your breath, to the forces of nature inside your body. And also to quiet that voice that we have in our mind telling us things that aren't always positive for us to hear. So we're going to breathe together. I'm going to lead us through 3 breaths. We're going to breathe in on the count of 3. We're going to hold it for 3. We're going to exhale for 3. We're going to do that 3 times. And then we're just going to kind of like sit there with our breath going in and out, trying to connect to the breath. And then at the end, I'm going to hit this bell. And we're going to listen to the sound of the bell. And we're going to stay in the moment. And when the bell sound disappears, I want you to raise your hand. Okay? Or hit the reaction on your screen. So again, place your feet firmly on the ground. Close your eyes or lower your gaze to the earth in reverence of the power of the earth, of gravity, of weather. I want you to feel the resistance of your foot resting on the floor, and also the resistance of the chair or the bed or wherever you're sitting, holding you up and supporting you. And really feel that support. That is there for you. That is there for you to be the best that you can be for the next 45 minutes with me and with Mix Cory doing this work. It's not easy work to tap into yourself and to express how you think and feel. But that's the work we're going to do. So you can open your shoulders a little bit. We're going to breathe in on a count of 3, hold for 3, and exhale for 3 times. So here we go. Inhale. 1, 2, 3. Hold. 3, 2, 1. And exhale. 1, 2, 3. And again, inhale. 1, 2, 3. And hold. 3, 2, 1. And exhale. 1, 2, 3. And last time. Inhale. 1, 2, 3. Hold. 3, 2, 1. And exhale. 1, 2, 3. Great. And let's just sit here and breathe together for a few moments. In and out. And your mind was created to think. Right? That's why the thoughts come fast and furious. And you can let them distract you, or you can just breathe through them and in a way say to your mind, thank you, but I'm breathing now. I'll come back to my thoughts later. And as we breathe, let's look at the blessing that breath is. Some of us have witnessed breath being empowering and giving you hope and giving you focus. Whereas other times, breath has been taken away. So let's honor the fact that we have breath today. And now I'm going to hit my gong. And raise your hand when you hear the sound end. Great. Thank you. You can open your eyes and kind of come back into the room. Take in the colors and the sounds. So, here we are. Welcome. Thank you so much. I meditate every morning. It's a way for me to stay grounded. And that breath comes in handy for me, not in the calm moments always, but in the moments where things get a little bit out of control. To make sure my dog doesn't run out. Hold on. We're teaching her how to be kind to people, and my wife is having a meeting in the backyard. I don't want her to So we're as a rapper, as a poet, as a performer, I use my breath all the time. My breath helps me stay focused and not get so nervous. I get so nervous sometimes before I even come into the class with you all. I get nervous. And I feel the butterflies flying around in my stomach. And that breath can help you have those butterflies fly in the same direction. They're never going to be gone, but you can get them to work for you. That energy can work for you. So today, as we start to dive into what is poetry, we are going to listen to a song of mine. It's called Like As. And it really plays with the ideas of metaphors and similes. Does anybody know what a metaphor is? Have you studied metaphor?
Yeah.
So anybody have a guess what a metaphor is? It's all right. You can be bold. Anybody want to unmute themselves and say to the group what a metaphor is or what they think a metaphor is? Yeah, that takes bravery.
I don't know what that is.
What's that? You don't know what it is?
No.
Well, that's amazing because I'm about to tell you. So in the chat, we can look. A metaphor is how we use language. It really simply means like when you use one idea to stand as another. Have you ever heard anybody be like, I'm a beast? Like a gamer. It's like, I'm a beast. Right? Or like when you say the word, it's lit. Right? Those are metaphors. Is it really lit? Is your room really on fire? Is your computer really smoking? No. But you use that as as language, right? Are you really a beast? No, you've just done something amazingly incredible and you feel very powerful inside of yourself, right? Yeah. So in my example here that's now been pushed back in the chat because everyone has great things to say, this idea of like, it's a figure of speech where you use one phrase to represent another phrase. Like for instance, her smile was a summer's day. That's a weird thing to say, right? Someone smiles and all of a sudden like June 21st comes across on their face. Do we mean that literally? No, we don't mean that literally. We mean the way that smile makes us feel warm and fuzzy inside, right? So her smile was a summer's day. The other thing is when you look at a simile is very similar to a metaphor. It's also a figure of speech, and that means a way that we use language, where we compare one thing to another. But we use the words like and as to compare those things. For instance, he was as brave as a lion. Right? So a metaphor, you would say, her smile was a summer's day. But a simile, you would say, her smile was like a summer's day. It's a little small thing, right? And it's a way that we use language to tell stories, to make images, to make very specific details, create pictures with our words so that the listener can feel connected to us and can understand what we're trying to say. And then also as a writer, it gives you a sense, so you don't always have to be like, I feel good today. You could say, I feel as powerful as a lion. I feel as shy as a butterfly, or as shy as a mole in the ground, right? Because then all of a sudden you're using words to paint pictures in everyone else's mind. And I also put into the chat here this quote by a writer named Jane Hirschfield, who says, a simile is a metaphor that admits it's compared to something. Similes tend to make you think, oh, is he as strong as a lion? Yeah, I think he is as strong as a lion. Whereas metaphors let you feel things directly. Her smile was a summer's day. Oh my God, I feel so warm and fuzzy inside when she smiled at me, or when he smiled at me. Okay? So these are like, you know, when you go to the gym and your goal is to like get strong, the strength is like the poem, right? And these things are like the barbells that you're using to get strong. So these are tools that you can use to help your poems become clearer, become stronger. And I give you all of this because I have a song that I'm going to perform for you guys, if that's okay. The song is called Like As, and it uses these ideas of metaphors and similes.
What's a metaphor? Sorta like a simile. Poet in the street slang is the poetry. The gifted get lifted for all the world to see. What's a metaphor? Sorta like a simile.
Come on.
Poet in the street slang is the poetry. The gifted get lifted for all the world to see.
I spit early in the morning like I'm toothbrushing. Drive fast in my car like I'm hour rushing. Move mountains to the peak and push past the trouble through the rubble as I roll into the weekend. Dodge judgment like raindrops. Stay in the here and now with my breath till my brain stops. I'm like a beat drop. Stay in the cuddy. Disappear quicker than my pocket when it's filled with money. It's all combustion. I burn bridges with the flicker. It's the hubris as I try to cross them. I get space when I'm flossing. That ain't slang, but my language is a flame when I stay on topic. What came first, the word or the wordsmith? The birth of earth is reverse of what the hearse is. The gift of this is the same as the curse is. And am I changed at the end of where my verse is? What begins again with the freshest pad and pen? And as the sun ascends, the rhythm hits the one again. It's that mission that every poet, rapper, playwright, lyricist, novelist revels in.
What's a metaphor? Sorta like a simile.
Come on.
Poet in the street slang is the poetry.
Yeah.
The gifted get lifted for all the world to see.
Right? Yo.
What's a metaphor? Sorta like a simile. Poet in the street slang is the poetry. The gifted get lifted for all the world to see.
This is a dark room and I'm a light, burning bright through the fog of this endless night. The world's on fire, it's time to fight, so bring your pens, your ends, don't forget your knife. I paid my dues, but they never paid me back. I'm stuck on you, serious as a heart attack. I try to walk away more Michael than Fredo. My shape, it keeps shifting, I mold it like Play-Doh, but time, it keeps stealing. Breath from my body, cells from my blood, ice from my hottie. My thoughts, they keep storming, dance across the sky. I try to slow them down, but they betray my third eye. Sometimes I'm blind, my vision's getting blurry. Forest for trees, birds for worms eating early. Unknown is up, the known's getting down. If time is worth money, I'm richer than sound.
What's a metaphor? Sorta like a simile.
Come on.
Poet in the street slang is the poetry. The gifted get lifted for all the world to see.
That's you, that's you, that's you.
What's a metaphor? Sorta like a simile. Poet in the street slang is the poetry. The gifted get lifted for all the world to see.
So the reason why I bring this to you today is because words have power. These words have meaning, have strength. The way that you use words can build, can inspire, can lead, or they can also destroy. You got that choice, everybody. Now is the time to choose wisely. Come on.
What's a metaphor? Sorta like a simile. Poet in the street slang is the poetry. The gifted get lifted for all the world to see. What's a metaphor? Sorta like a simile. Poet in the street slang is the poetry. The gifted get lifted for all the world to see.
Come on. So, as I said, the way that we come together and we use language, whether it's English or a language that is your natural language, your born language, that's how you express who you are in the world. And just remember that everybody does want to hear what you have to say. And don't let anybody tell you differently. I definitely want to hear what you have to say. All right. Thank you all for the love in the chat. I really, really appreciate that. That song is released on Spotify, so if you search my name on Spotify, you can find that song. If you're looking for ways that you want to use metaphors and similes, or if you just like the music. I see someone also found out that I'm a resident playwright as part of the Playwrights Foundation.
I'm gonna buy some tickets.
Ooh, all right. Um, so yeah, that's how I use language, right? And I really appreciate the love that you all uh, gave. Um, even if someone only just gave me 7 out of 10, I still love it. Um, um, there, there is. So what I want to show you by doing that, everyone, is that I'm not following any other mold. I love hip hop music. I love rap music. I love hip hop culture, right? And I honor where it comes from, right? It's a black and Latin culture that came out of New York in the late 70s that is now spread all over the world, right? But I don't appear that way, right? So what I have to do when I speak, when I utilize this art form as a voice is I have to honor the legacy and the history of where it comes from and know that it's not my culture. But two, I also have to be authentic and real to who I really am, right? What if I came into your class and I'm acting the way that I am and then I started my song and I started acting all like tough and gangster, right? None of you would believe me. You would all look at me and say that I was being fake, that I was lying to you, right? So this is what I'm trying to do with everyone here is to give you these pathways so that you can express who you really are in the way that I love to express who I really am. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
When was the time you started rapping?
When did I start rapping?
Yep.
Yeah, great question. I was 17 years old when I started rapping. What year was that? When was I 17? I was born in 1970, so 89. 89? No, 92. Okay. I actually went on a trip and someone says Eminem has competition, right? That's someone put that in the chat right there. And for me, the Eminem of my time, and what I mean by that is the people who looked like me and who I connected with were the Beastie Boys, right? They were appearing white. They were Jewish kids from New York. I'm also a Jewish man. So all of a sudden there was a connection there. And the rest of the work that I've had to do is to explore the history and the culture of it and make those connections. So, okay, that's enough about me. Let's get to you guys. Really, that's the most important. It's not so important for me, but it's really important for you all to share who you are. So we're going to watch a video here. And we're going to look at poetry, right? Because that's what we're here to do. We're going to write you guys are all going to write an I am poem. Anybody written an I am poem before? The poem will express who you are through very simple lines. But I want you to watch this video and I want you to think about what they're saying about poetry so that you can figure out ways to connect it to yourselves. Okay, here we go. I'm going to share my screen. And let me know if you can't hear it.
Muhammad Ali spent years training to become the greatest boxer the world had ever seen, but only moments to create the shortest poem. Ali captivated Harvard's graduating class in 1975 with his message of unity and friendship. When he finished, the audience wanted more. They wanted a poem. Ali delivered what is considered the shortest poem ever. Me, we. Or is it me, we? No one's really sure. Regardless, if these two words are a poem, then what exactly makes a poem?
That's weird. Let me try it again. Sorry, everyone.
Miss Cory,
Yes.
what's the bathroom?
You can always put that in the chat and then just let us know when you're back, okay? Thank you.
Can everybody see the screen now?
Yes, we can see the screen now.
Great. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Visuals.
Muhammad Ali spent years training to become the greatest boxer the world had ever seen, but only moments to create the shortest poem. Ali captivated Harvard's graduating class in 1975 with his message of unity and friendship. When he finished, the audience wanted more. They wanted a poem. Ali delivered what is considered the shortest poem ever. Me, we. Or is it me, we? No one's really sure. Regardless, if these two words are a poem, then what exactly makes a poem a poem? Poets themselves have struggled with this question, often using metaphors to approximate a definition. Is a poem a little machine, a firework, an echo, a dream? Poetry generally has certain recognizable characteristics. 1. Poems emphasize language's musical qualities. This can be achieved through rhyme, rhythm, and meter, from the sonnets of Shakespeare to the odes of Confucius to the Sanskrit Vedas. 2. Poems use condensed language, like literature with all the water wrung out of it. 3. Poems often feature intense feelings, from Rumi's spiritual poetry to Pablo Neruda's Ode to an Onion. Poetry, like art itself, has a way of challenging simple definitions. While the rhythmic patterns of the earliest poems were a way to remember stories even before the advent of writing, a poem doesn't need to be lyrical. Rainer Doll's Apfel and Eugen Gomringer's Silencio toe the line between visual art and poetry. Meanwhile, E. Cummings wrote poems whose shapes were as important as the words themselves, in this case, amplifying the sad loneliness of a single leaf falling through space. If the visual nature of poetry faded into the background, perhaps we'd be left with music. And that's an area that people love to debate. Are songs poems? Many don't regard songwriters as poets in a literary sense, but lyrics from artists like Paul Simon, Bob Dylan, and Tupac Shakur often hold up even without the music. In rap, poetic elements like rhyme, rhythm, and imagery are inseparable from the form. Take this lyric from the Notorious B.I.G. I can hear sweat trickling down your cheek. Your heartbeats sound like Sasquatch feet, thundering, shaking the concrete. So far, all the examples we've seen have had line breaks. We can even imagine the two words of Ali's poem organizing in the air: me, we. Poetry has a shape that we can usually recognize. Its line breaks help readers navigate the rhythms of a poem. But what if those line breaks disappeared? Would it lose its essence as a poem? Maybe not. Enter the prose poem. Prose poems use vivid images and wordplay, but are formatted like paragraphs. When we look at poetry less as a form and more as a concept, we can see the poetic all around us. Spiritual hymns, the speeches of orators like Martin Luther King Jr., JFK, and Winston Churchill, and surprising places like social media. In 2010, journalist Joanna Smith tweeted updates from the earthquake in Haiti. Was in B-room getting dressed when heard my name. Tremor. Ran outside through sliding door. All still now. Safe. Roosters crowing. Smith uses language in a way that is powerful, direct, and filled with vivid images. Compare her language to a haiku, the ancient Japanese poetic form that emphasizes bursts of brief intensity, with just 3 lines of 5, 7, and 5 syllables. The waters of poetry run wide and deep. Poetry has evolved over time, and perhaps now more than ever, the line between poetry, prose, song, and visual art has blurred. However, one thing has not changed. The word poetry actually began in verb form, coming from the ancient Greek poiesis, which means to create. Poets, like craftsmen, still work with the raw materials of the world to forge new understandings and comment on what it is to be human in a way only humans can. Dartmouth researchers tested this idea by asking robots to pen poetry. A panel of judges sorted through stacks of sonnets to see if they could distinguish those made by man and machine. You may be happy to know that while scientists have successfully used artificial intelligence in manufacturing, medicine, and even journalism, poetry is a different story. The robots were caught red-handed 100% of the time.
Great. Okay, so what are some things that stuck out in that for people? What are some ideas or some things that were said? You can put it in the chat or you can unmute yourself. What was interesting to you about what was said in that video? Or what any of the ideas that he talked about inspiring? Anyone? Anyone want to take a risk? Ah, yes, the shortest poem. That's great. Right, I'm going to put it right. It's me, we. What do we think that means? How do we interpret that? Me, we. Anybody want to guess? No wrong answers. Me, we. I feel like it means together. Yeah, it feels like there's me, but there's also us. We're all one, right? And also look at so we have when you're talking, Angel, about what it feels like, what it means, right? You're talking about poetry as a concept, right? Me, we. The poem is really about the way that we're all one. We may look different on the outside, but we're all human on the inside. That's my interpretation. It may not be yours, but that's my interpretation. That's poetry as a concept, right? The way the sun is touching Cory's arm there. That's pretty poetic. That's powerful. There's beauty to that, right? The stories about the fish, Nemo and Dory, that we heard. Yeah, you are my other me. That's great. Is that a Latinx poem, or is that a?
So it's based on, I think it's based on a Mayan saying, and then it was popularized by a poet, Luis Valdez.
Uh-huh.
And it's, so you are my other me. If I do harm to you, I do harm to myself. If I love you, I love myself. I could look it up, the exact words.
Yeah, I mean, it goes really hand in hand with the quote by Nina Simone that we talked about, or the quote that we brought up about Nina Simone the other day, about, freedom being connected. If you're here to work together and to help liberate, to help me get free, I don't need your help. But if my freedom is connected to your freedom, then let's get to work. I love that concept, the me-we concept of it. Right? So we have these ideas of poetry as the form. What does poetry look like on the paper? And I love that in that video they talk about poetry as like a visual art, that you can't separate the meaning of the words from the beautiful way the poet chooses to put the words on the paper. Because believe it or not, that's a choice. Me, we underneath it, or me, we next to each other. Those are choices that change the meaning of what it is we're doing. Right? That's the form. And again, poetry as a concept. Again, the light on Cory's arm. The way that, maybe the fish moves in the water. Somebody dancing. Even the way maybe a bag twirls as the wind spins it in a tornado. That can be quite poetic. So all of these things are just here to let you know that poetry is everywhere. As you start to write your poem here, poetry is everywhere. And I don't want you to shy away from the fact that even in the smallest things, even in this microphone, there's poetry. I know that's weird, but I'm going to go there. There's poetry everywhere. And so I want you to open yourselves up to that possibility that poetry could be everywhere. And it'll take some time to notice it. But keep your eyes open as you go through your day to see what is poetic. What touches you? What makes you feel? What makes you think beyond the surface? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to write what is called an I am poem. And I think before we break off, I'm going to share my screen in a second. And I just want to show you an example of the I am poem. Can everybody see that? Right? So we have these, what we call sentence starters on the left. And you'll see in the Google slide that Cory just sent around that you're going to have these sentence starters. And they're not going to be the same, although some of them will be. I am determined and hopeful. I am Dan. I am a rapper. I am a father. I am the greatest wish my grandparents ever had. I am the future. All of those are a take on how we can be poetic with something that's literal, right? I wonder, I see, I hear, I want. So let's go to the presentation that Cory just sent you, or that you have looked at already. And you'll see on the first slide are the sentence structures, are the sentence starters. And each one of you has your own slide here with your name on it. And the second slide has your number where you can find yourself. And what we want to do is we want to copy from the first slide all of these sentence starters, or as many of them as you're inspired by. And if you look on that first slide, we have stanzas, right? In poetry, a paragraph is called a stanza. And and you can tell by that space between the paragraphs, between the stanzas. So what I would love for you to do is I would love for you to copy and paste into your own slide and finish these sentences. Don't worry about the right answer. Don't worry about the wrong answer. Just tell us the story of you through this poem. Okay? Are there any questions?
I see that Cory is on her slide. Maria is there. Natalie is there. Sebastian is there. Yomara is there. Mascart. Juliana. Angel, thank you.
Just give it a try with the first one.
Okay. And let me check at this time. Are there any students that need help? You need support? If so, please let us know in the chat.
Supposed to do a sentence?
Maria, yes. So if you click on slide 1 is a link with an example that Dan provided. And you can use the sentence starters to think about how you want to express your line. And you don't have to think of it as a sentence in that way, especially because we were listening to a lot of different examples where they were using metaphor and simile.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put on a little music just to have it underneath us. Let me know if it's distracting. I'm going to find some jazz for you, everyone. Okay. Don't be afraid to try out something and write it and see what it looks like on the page.
I'm gonna change to my computer because this one's too laggy.
Okay, so just a moment. I'm gonna help support students right now. Can I ask, Cooper, can you go to slide 10, please? So just start with one thing that stands out to you. Okay, yes. Juliana, I see your example. That something like that works. And Natalie, if you want, you can look at an example. There is a hyperlink on slide 1 for you to refer to. I have sent some private messages to students if I do not see you on your slide yet. And that's why I had asked if you need help, please state your needs and speak up, because it's possible to put you into a breakout room to get you a little bit of extra help. Okay. Gisela, do you want to help students in the breakout, or would you like me to?
You can send me to the breakout.
Okay. I do see a request from one student right now, 2 students. So those students, I'm going to start setting up a breakout room. Gisela is offering to support you. Oh, and I forgot to mention earlier, Dan. So crew, it's not only my class, it's Gisela's class too, because for crew, we're co-teachers.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Didn't mean to disrespect Gisela for the powerful gifts and energy you bring to the
Just wanted to make sure to follow up on that. Okay, so I'm opening up the rooms now for 2 students that were asking for help.
It's Cory.
Yes,
My
baby.
screen froze.
Okay. You might want to just try to refresh it. Sometimes with technology, we have to just be patient and breathe. Thanks for letting me know, though. I just saw the line that Genesis wrote. I love that.
Yes. Awesome. This is great. I'm seeing some great writing on some of the slides.
Miss Cory,
Yes, yes, sir.
I did something to the first page.
Okay, thanks. Let me check. Ladies, I can see who's typing that right now.
I don't know how to put emojis.
You
I
can,
was just tracing the other thing.
okay. Do Control V, undo.
Can you put it back? I was trying to look at it.
Yep.
Thanks.
Marco, slide 24. Cassie, there's also a link in the on your email. Oh, I see. Thank you for clarifying that it was not Grady's, that was Cesar that put those emojis. Just one, thank you. I'll take care of it because on a Google slide, I can track all the keystroke history to figure out who did something. Plus, the session is being recorded. So we all want to just make sure that we're able to collaborate and practicing mutual respect, okay? I have taken steps as well when it comes to spam or people doing things that are not supporting the group to make sure that we are having restorative conversations about that behavior to make sure that everyone is getting the help that they need, okay? Yes, thank you.
One of my favorite rappers, Yasin Bey, formerly known as Most Def, has a great line where he says, "Sometimes I write a rhyme, but I don't finish for days." And that's what I feel like right now, is that we got a great start. And sometimes it comes, sometimes it just flows out of you. Sometimes you're ready to let it out into the world. And sometimes it's more like work than like freedom when you do this writing. And so, again, this is why we do the meditation. So we practice not judging ourselves and just being where we are. As I'm jumping through some of the slides, there's really some great writing.
And so I do want to check in with the group because I know that some people might have felt a little bit disrupted in terms of your flow. And the student that accidentally put the emojis on slide 1, we've all recovered now. That student has taken responsibility for their actions privately to me, okay? And I appreciate the group supporting each other to let, so that you're letting each other know as a community that we are all trying to learn together. I also want to acknowledge that we're all still learning. Now, I do see that there are a few students where I haven't seen you on your slides, and I just want to make sure that you're getting the help that you need. And I see that Natalie, Angel, and Cory are saying that you have a first draft. Grady's, Jonathan, Juan, Manuel, checking to see if you need any support. Okay, thank you, Cory, for the time check. Just scanning the document to see. Oscar was giving feedback saying that there may be a lag right now. So Oscar, you can come back to this and add your work. Ronaldo, Ruby, Ronaldo and Ruby, do you need support? Jonathan's not here at this time.
I
Thank you,
just found Dan Wolf on YouTube. I accidentally pressed on the other one. I was supposed to do the poem thingy on the Google Docs, and I pressed on the YouTube one, and then it took me to the Dan Wolf.
I see. And do you have any questions about what to write? I'm wondering whether to take it there and be like, do you want to share more? Or do you have any questions about what we're writing right now? Sebastian, do you need any support? I'm scanning the document right now. Okay, and then Yoskart also. Okay, so as you can see, we have some students that have had, have really started to put a lot of thoughts down, and other students that are really just getting started. And based on the time, I do think that it is time for us to wrap up, at least with our Zoom session. And Natalie, your question about adding images, I would think that if you've had a chance to put some words down, then you could feel free to add images as well. Would you agree, Dan?
I do. I would try to get as many of at least one stanza written, and then you can use those images to support the language.
Can you explain what a stanza is to them?
Yeah, again, the stanza is the paragraph. So if you look on the first slide again, where it says I am, I wonder, I hear, I see, I want, I am. And then you see how there's a break there and there's no words on that line before I pretend. That's the stanza. The stanza equals a paragraph, right? So again, when you read a book, you read a paragraph. When you read a poem, you read a stanza. They're the same things, but just a different format.
Miss Cory, I'll go to the dentist.
Okay. So let me go ahead and just mention right now that you have time then to add, and Dan is asking for you to at least try to work on the first A stanza or the first stanza. Either one?
Neither one.
The first stanza or any stanza?
I think any of this, whatever ones they connect to the most.
Okay.
Any standards.
We'll have that ready for Monday. Also, here is the exit ticket. I will post that onto the class page on Canvas. Okay. And your next assignment tomorrow, the minimum day, will only be meeting with your crew. And I would encourage everyone to set up I'm getting feedback. Hold on. So I'm going to encourage everybody to make a plan. The complex text assignment, steps 1 through 4. If you have not finished identifying the central idea in the chunk of text on Learning to Read by Malcolm X, check in with your group members because you have each other's contact information. Since tomorrow is a minimum day where you are only meeting with your crew, then you definitely have plenty of time to try to set up a meeting with them to get steps 1 through 4 finished. Okay? And then you have your reading assignment for this week where I was asking you to read for 30 minutes each day. Does anyone have any questions? Okay.
No, I'm good.
So I see students are saying goodbye, and I want to appreciate Dan for sharing with us today.
Thank you all for being here and sharing with me as well. I look forward to continuing our work together.
Okay, bye everyone.
Goodbye. Bye.
Bye, Juliana.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, Shannon.